we are now at the point where we think it's going to be settled in the judicial system, in court. And that's why we've launched the precautionary principle to have a judicial review. So I don't know, it doesn't really answer it, because I'm pro-health. Like, all I care about is the people. I don't want to see anybody sick. I don't want to see anybody anywhere. The load is heavy dealing with the people, and so health, everything flows out of that after. I think that's all I could say from our experience.
And I guess to answer why this is happening, generally things like this happen because of people who are politically well-connected, who have been pushing an agenda that perhaps there has been a sense that it feels like a good thing and people haven't done their homework, and that's one of the things that we are trying to do tonight, is to learn and do our homework so that we can help Vermont not make the mistakes that are being made elsewhere. I think that for people who want to do something based on what you've learned tonight, and what I know a lot of people have been doing their own research on the internet, do everything you can think of. Contact your local elected officials, your state officials. I think that one of the things that we don't have in Vermont that we need are citing guidelines. And if we have citing guidelines that are based on real evidence, based on the work of credible acoustics experts like Rick James, that do not allow wind turbines in mountainous terrain within 2 miles of where people live, that will be a step in the right direction. But I think that everyone who is interested in seeing change has to do something. As Carmen says, it takes a lot of voices to be raised to bring about this change.
Kevin, have you had an opportunity to go to speak to the Public Service Board about this and give some of this information, not so much on the health side of things, but the fact that we don't even need the power here, and these people will probably sell it all down in Boston or New York at our expense?
I haven't talked to them specifically, but I mean, it's not, I mean, first of all, it's not that we don't need renewable energy. Obviously we do, but the point I was trying to make is that we're in a good place in Vermont, which I think you know, our legislators and the Public Service Board understand. You know, we're starting at a point where, in terms of carbon footprint, I'm sure we've read all this stuff. You know, if we're not the best in the country, every study shows we're second best or third best. So I guess to echo what others have said is, and I think part of it is that there are just people that you can make some money off this, and the feeling that everybody had at the start was that, you know, wind was a good thing, and so maybe things have been rushed a little bit too quickly, and people haven't taken the time to think about, you know, what's the best way to meet some of these goals. And once again, clearly for Vermont, we have so much flexibility. We're starting from such a good place that we don't need to rush to make mistakes at the start.
Other questions? Well, yes.
My name is Jim Wilbur. I'm from Londonderry area, and we had some experience with the wind project a few years ago. No matter how you feel about these various issues, I would encourage each of you to get your town to deal with these things. As the first question indicated, the Public Service Board is not going to come up with a series of health regulations or noise regulations or anything else. What you've got to do is get these things embedded into your town rules, and if they're embedded in the town rules, then if the project comes and it meets those things, then you can live with it. If the rules were embedded and they don't think they can meet it, then they won't do it. But I just don't think that there's any other way to look at this thing. If you look at Wall Street and what they brought us last year, it's called a problem without regulation. And here you have a problem without regulation. And so I think that if you just look to your local community and do the regulating there, you'll find that helpful.
Thank you, Jim. That's kind of an interesting comment. I've been aware lately that we are at a disadvantage compared to other states dealing with wind issues because counties and towns can pass ordinances, and we don't have home rule in Vermont. And so we have town plans, and town plans, if they have specific language in them, are taken into consideration by the Public Service Board as our town votes. And those are really the two tools that we have. But it is, I think, especially with these large wind projects, it points to a real need to look at how we're doing, how we're addressing development in Vermont, and whether or not we need to look at that fundamental issue. Other questions? Someone who hasn't asked yet? Yes, go ahead.
In regards to what he said, like, where do we stand right now with this IRA project? I mean, is it likely to go through or not?
Well, if the developer was here, he would say absolutely, I think. It is, as far as we can tell, on the fast track. The studies are being done right now. The developers are saying that they intend to file in the first quarter of 2010. They have the Stantec is the sort of the boilerplate experts that are doing the bird and bat, and now somebody's out doing raptor studies. The Herrick Mountain Met Tower is almost assembled on site and ready to be put up. Apparently they don't need the wind monitoring data in order to go through with the application. And as has happened with people in other parts of the state, especially Sheffield, where they dealt with the Public Service Board process and spent over $700,000, it's truly a daunting prospect for this area to raise the money and participate in a Public Service Board process that appears to be biased in favor of the developers. So this project, they say they have their funding, and that they have to meet specific deadlines or guidelines or deadlines in order to get it. So it certainly feels like it's moving ahead, and it's hard to know exactly what you can do within the regulatory process for the public to be heard.
Just to follow up on Annette's answer, there are folks here tonight who are looking at the Iowa project, trying to understand how the regulatory process is going to go and what kind of questions could be asked or should be asked. So I think there are a lot of folks who will continue to ask questions, and if you'd like to assist in that, we can help connect you with those folks, and you can be part of that effort. So that's part of the purpose of this, is to help people make connections and share information. So we'll help you connect with those people if you're interested in doing that.
I don't understand how developers can go so far and so fast when it takes us 3 or 4 years just to get a stoplight put in Route 7. So, it seems like somehow we should be able to have something in our town plans or something in our towns that make us, such that we just aren't run over as such.